So unfortunately, this is work of my student Bashir Sadeghi, but he's not feeling well. I don't think he's going to be joining the workshop. So I'm going to be making the presentation. I'm Vishnu Bodetti. I'm a professor in Michigan State University. We are interested in representation learning, and I'm going to talk about how to make adversarial representation learning more stable with using closed form solvers. Okay, so I guess I don't need to really motivate this to this audience, but representation learning is extremely important, and it makes a very big difference in the ultimate performance of most of the systems that we build in machine learning. So I guess the last the last decade, we have seen neural networks become the choice of model to extract these representations from data in comparison to hand design features that we were using in the past. Okay, so this way of automatically learning the representations we've seen a lot of success in a lot of computer vision applications, and of course in language and other topics as well. But there are also some other consequences of using this kind of representation learning systems. So here's an example here. This is a paper from Timate Gebru and co-authors. It's on gender shades. So the goal there was you have this data here, and you are learning this encoder, which is extracting features from which you want to predict some task, which is, in this case, the task was predicting the gender of a given face image. Fortunately, what they saw or what they found is that the performance of these systems is really affected by other factors. So in this case, the factor that they looked at is the color of your face. Okay, so they found that the lighter skins, the error that the gender prediction was making was much lower. It's only around 0.7%. But once you have a slightly darker colored face, then the error is much higher. Okay? And it's not just based on the color of your skin, but there are other factors also that they looked at in the paper. In all these cases, what they really found is that there's a disparity in the performance of these automatically learned features. Here's another example that we actually also we show in this paper. So we're trying to predict if a person is smiling or not. Some of these are made up scenarios, but they're just to illustrate this point. What we found is that the features that we are learning to predict whether you're smiling or not also contain a lot of your gender information. So for example, if I take these features, which I'm learning for the task of predicting your smile, if I take the feature and build another predictor just to predict your gender, then that actually has a pretty high performance. It's 82%. So that means this feature has a lot of information about your gender, even though that's not the task of this. That's not what's required for this task. So what's going on? This is known, but what I call it this dark secret of deep learning, which is that it recklessly absorbs all statistical correlations in data. Whether they are necessary or not necessary doesn't matter. If a statistical correlation is there in the data for your problem, it's going to use it, whether we want it or not. Okay. So right now, the methods that we have for learning these representations, we really do not have much control over what statistical information or what information is being extracted from these images. So why is this a problem? This is a problem because it leads to many issues. So I've already showed you a couple of these. So one is these systems could potentially be biased with respect to different factors, and you could also see a lot of leakage of information. Let's see, is someone saying something? Unfortunately, oh, sorry. There's also a lot of leakage of information from these representations. But even going further, we see that there's problems with a domain adaptation where the system trained on the source domain might actually end up using features that are not present in the target domain. That causes domain shifts, domain gaps, and things like that. Okay, so the reason this is happening is because there's spurious information that is being extracted by these neural networks into the feature, information that is not necessary. And for example, let's say one of these features could represent gender. Again, this is just an illustration. And of course, the way to fix this would be to simply remove this gender information, and then your downstream target predictor will start making correct decisions, and it will fix a lot of problems. Okay. So our goal over here is to be able to control the semantic information that is there in these representations. So so gender is one kind of semantic information, but you could think of other kinds of semantic information as well. So it's a general problem where we want to explicitly remove a known semantic information. Okay. So the problem is we want to learn a representation model from data, and we want to retain as much information necessary to predict a particular target label. But we also want to remove any semantic information, semantically sensitive information that is there. And in this case, we are going to assume that we know what is the sensitive attribute that we are going to remove. For example, in this case, it could be gender. In the other case, it could be whether your color of your skin and things like that. Okay. So this is the general problem setup. There's been a couple of papers which try to address this under various garbs. So either they call it invariant learning or fair representation learning, or controllable learning and things like that. But they all fall under this umbrella of adversarial representation learning. So this is the common setup of this, a game theoretic setup where you have an encoder which is trying to extract some features. You have a target predictor which is trying to predict some attribute from these features, and then you have an adversary which is trying to extract this sensitive information from these features. Okay, and you can this optimization problem is posed as a bi-level optimization problem. So firstly, you want to minimize the error that your target predictor is making. So that's the first task. But then you have a constraint saying that the error of the adversary has to be greater than equal to something. Okay, so you want your adversary error to be very, very large, and you want to have your target error to be very, very small, and that's how you want to optimize the parameters of this encoder. Okay. In some sense, this adversary is a proxy for a measure of semantic information that is there in this representation. There could be other measures of information, but this seems to be the common theme that a lot of papers are using by using an adversary as an implicit measure of information. Okay. So how do we learn these models? We typically learn this by simultaneous or alternating stochastic gradient descent. So you update the target parameters here, keeping the other two fixed. Then you do the same for the adversary. You fix the encoder and the target. You update the adversary parameters. And finally, you freeze the target and the adversary, and then you simply update the encoder. So you do this alternatingly. So you fix one, update the, you fix two, you update one. But this optimization problem, this way of solving this has a lot of problems, especially with stability. So if you have trained GANs, which most of you probably have, you must have found that sometimes it's not very stable. You have to maybe rerun it, and then suddenly it starts working again. There's problems with the convergence properties of this optimization problem. So that's what we want to address. We want to make this optimization more stable and also do some theoretical analysis in the end. So our solution is to replace the target and the adversary by closed form solvers. So usually people use neural networks over here for the target and the adversary. But instead, in this paper, we say, okay, let's actually replace them by kernel-rich regressors in our case, but it could be any other closed form solver as well. Okay. And now the optimization problem actually looks like this. So you want to optimize your encoder parameters theta e, but the encoder parameter theta e depends on the optimal theta y, which is the parameters of my target, and the optimal parameters of the sensitive attribute here, S. Okay, so here's where you have this argmin sitting inside over here, and this is our connection to this declarative networks. Okay, in this case, we actually went ahead and we could obtain the closed form solution, and we can also compute the gradients of this. This is slightly involved, but it's just algebra. If you do this, you should be able to obtain this. So this optimization reduces to this one here, and this one you essentially need to backpropagate through this projection and then the projection backpropagation involves this term here. This M is a pseudo inverse least squares kind of projection operator. So the gradient of that you can actually derive. It's a little ugly looking, but it's doable. So what does this do? Let's see some examples, some experimental results to see if this actually helps and how is it useful. Here's a toy example where we have 4 Gaussians over here, and we have 2 attributes to these Gaussians. We want to reconstruct this data. That is our target task. We want to compress and reconstruct this data. And we want to get rid of color information from this data. So that's our goal here. So we have 2 objectives. We measure 2 objectives. One is the objective for the target. So the target MSE, you want to minimize this. And for the adversary, you want to maximize it. So the ideal point is somewhere over here. And any curve that is closer to this ideal point is a good curve. So these big blue and red bands that you see, these are what you get when you do this alternating stochastic gradient descent. And they're very unstable. You have to run this many times. If you so in fact we had to run it like 10 times to actually get to a good solution over here. But if you see the range of variation over here, this is the kind of solution that you get. So our solution, the closed form solution, the green curve, you can see it's right at the bottom. It's very stable. So even if you run it many times, you actually get the same answer. It's very stable. There's no alternating optimization. And also the result is pretty close to the black line here. The black line is the ideal trade-off that you can possibly achieve. That is the theoretically ideal trade-off, which we also derived in this paper. So it's getting close to that, but it's also extremely stable. Okay, we can actually obtain the ideal trade-off. That's what I'm showing here, but I think I'm running out of time, so I'll skip this part here. In terms of mitigating privacy leakage, we revisit this task of predicting smile and removing gender information. So if you look at the raw data here, you can do pretty good job of predicting the smile, but the representation also has a lot of gender information. So the delta here is telling you how much this gender prediction is away from random guessing. So the absolute difference between random guessing and the adversary accuracy. So you want this gender prediction to be as close to random guessing as possible. So there's a lot of information. So delta is very high. So this is the traditional way of the alternating optimization. These 2 methods, they still leak information. But in our case, we are able to completely close this gap down. So this is possible because in this case, these 2 attributes are independent of each other. So you can actually remove all information theoretically. So we do actually hit that theoretical point. So here's another scenario where that is not the case. The 2 attributes are related to each other. So you cannot completely remove smile information while being able to predict whether you have a high cheekbone in this case. So what you'll end up with is a trade-off. There's no way around the trade-off. So again, the ideal solution is over here in this case. So higher target accuracy and higher adversary. And adversary needs to be around chance, so 50%. So the green curve is the closed form, while the blue and the red are the alternating optimizations. So this is also much faster. So it's about 3 or 2 times faster for training because we have to only train this once. You don't need to run this many times to get a stable solution. Okay. So to summarize, we propose to use simple learning primitives within adversarial representation learning. And this helps makes adversarial representation learning much more effective and much more stable in practice, even on large data sets. Okay. That's all what I have. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.